gonna take a lot more than potatoes to bring this baby down. Oh, maybe not.
Hello everybody, and welcome to Beating Plants vs. Zombies with only primal and animal-like plants, Part 4. Previously on Dragon Ball Z, we beat both Lost City and Far Future, but didn't really have any need to add more to the team, and just sort of shoehorned in Blastu Spinner at the last moment, just to add some variety into the roster again. The reason I waited for the last minute for this Primal Spider to be added into the roster was due to the simple fact that, like its Sticky Bomb Rice, and you know how comically powerful that plant is, there is a potential argument to use this that Blastu Spinner is even a superior version of that. Anyways, moving on in the challenge, we have the Dark Ages, which, as usual, has the world gimmick of no natural falling sun, so you have to rely on sun producers. This, of course, permits the usage of Primal Sunflower, as none of my other plants cost 0 sun or up to 75 sun, or are able to smash the tombstones to get more sun, and at first glance, that would immediately make this challenge for this world pathetically easy. And you would be partially right in the earlier days, or in the entirety of the world if I had a plant like Solar Sage, but since the sun production for this area isn't exactly optimal, due to the simple fact that I have no really cheap early plants to compensate, it will often culminate in me sacrificing a few of my lawnmowers early game in order to just get my row of primal sunflowers up so I can actually protect myself adequately. Other than that, as expected, my primal plants are more than a match for the zombies that are going to show up on this world early game, so there's no real need to be concerned, at least for now. It's not like I'm having money issues in regards to lawnmower coins. We keep punching through these days until we get to day 9, where the next interesting part of this world comes in, with it being a survive while potions fall, with orange potions making the zombies faster, and pink potions making them larger and more tanky. Fortunately, just like Geneva Convention violations, the Snake Lily does not care, and will instantly mutate them into some disgusting chimera that does my bidding instead, making this day just another Q maxing moment.
Form they promised me is great, but my transition shall be agonized.
A few more days down the line and nothing really of importance or a note happens again, up until we come up to the really unique day of defending a lane of puff shrooms, but since puff shrooms slowly disappear over time, you have to keep plant fooding them to keep them alive. This isn't difficult by any means, but is a fairly unique time, so it has my praise. We keep moving through the Dark Ages with day 14, needing us to produce sun, but only doing it using sunbeams and gravebusters, so the day itself doesn't count, but we still do it anyways for fun, and other than showing off the wizard zombie, we have no real issues just using primal plants to fight. Day 15, prepare your defenses for jesters. Practical problems require practical solutions, so we get Kiwi Beast and Snake Lily and Ravel stomp them into the pavement in record time. Day 16, introduce the King Zombies, who normally would be a huge problem knighting other zombies. Without Magnet Shroom or instant plants, this would be a pain in the ass, but of course Snake Lily had a few things to say to them. Day 17, we get the second wave of potion-using witches from Minecraft, but for no reason in specific, Toadstool pulls up and puts all the zombies in pain, almost like there's some kind of misery Toadstool. Day 18, survive with a given Lash mains commenting about how they main Lash. Day 19 was the first and only day of Dark Ages that I failed the first time, being to protect 3 magnet shrooms placed dangerously close to the right end of the map. I decided for some reason that this would be the day I introduced Chomper to the team, and it consequently blew up in my face. No big deal, we make heavy usage of the primal walnuts in the second attempt, and we have no further problems. And with the only thing left to do is to perform a classist murder on Dr. Zomboss's dragon girlfriend, we are done with the Dark Ages. And moving on to Neon Mixtape Tour, we are officially in the late game now, with only the 4 harder stages left of the challenge to go, and as usual, we can expect little resistance in the opening parts of Neon Mixtape Tour. So much so for that reason, or rather no reason specific, other than that I wanted to add another plant to the team, and I had plans to not add Primal Potato Mine until Jurassic Marsh, I decided to add Guacodile to the team. Guacodile isn't the best 125 sun plant on standard campaign, and if I'm being honest, Lightning Reed completely and utterly mogs him. That being said, his base attack isn't terrible, and he goes on a rampage of death throws instead of dying, so he isn't terrible either, and since he is a reference to a crocodile and has a bite attack that is somewhat similar in nature to a Chomper, he qualifies as a primal plant too. He's not super useful or anything like that, but he is added to the team. Though he very quickly loses any type of preference, as Neon Mixtape Tour starts growing in difficulty almost immediately, with my first loss being as early as day 7. Day 7 was the introduction of the roller skater zombies, which on top of taking quite a bit of damage, also protect any zombies behind them while it's their song. Oh, they also insta-kill any plant they walk into for this. Because of this new change, I actually failed this day several times before gaining a comprehensive strategy. The solution to this day ended up once again being Snake Lily, unsurprisingly. This thing is honestly carrying me a bit at this point, but seeing as how I was struggling even with Snake Lily, I declared it fine to use it for now. With day 8, me also failing it the first time, but gaining it barely the second. After that, we have a quick cluster of days that all don't count because of reasons, and then we get to day 12, which I get the first time with the help of a toadstool, and then we move on to day 13, a plan your defense day into which I fail twice in a row, partially because of poor planning, but more so because I was trying to pretend like I didn't need the divine superiority that came with Snake Lily. In hindsight, I probably should have just switched to Blastu Spinner, but whatever. Day 14, pre-picked plans, few, me some albatross soup. Day 15, I was tasked with projecting a column of fat beats, and I failed this one 3 times in a row before getting my shit together, and when I didn't get it the 3rd time, I finally decided to break the seal and rely on the arthropodal supremacy of the Blastu Spinner, who promptly bombed the shit out of the oncoming attackers, while sticking them to the floor with webs before turning them into bombs.
それは触れたものはどんなものでも爆弾に変えることができる。
Anyways, after assuring my victory again, we get another day where Chomper joins us to go murder people, and with the help of Snake Lily, we were able to get through it the first try. And right after that, on day 18, a third Chomper-like primal pant joins us, the Snap Pea, for a quick round of violently eating zombies and then spitting their dead bodies at other zombies, which all in all isn't too bad of an attack at all, and it might even join us permanently for the final act. Haven't decided yet. Day 20 was kind of a close call, but I still managed to get through it the first time. Nothing really of importance occurred here either, other than it being kind of close. Day 21 was the first really rough one, as I failed it a total of 7 whole times, as I just wasn't fast enough to get past all the nonsense, of fast enough with half of my deaths being because of these breakdancing zombies that kept throwing others right on the line, causing me to die before I even had the chance to freeze time, and the other being a bunch of punk rock zombies who keep insisting that they main Billy in Deadlock while drunkenly walking over the line before I can stop them.
The $2 word for controlling, which is just a $1 word.
Though I decided now that, at least for the immediate future, the new clutch unit would instead be spamming Blastu Spinner over that of Snake Lily, even though I think the latter commits more war crimes. And with Nerd Arcade Zombies coming immediately after that, along with Neon Mixtape Tour having the most powerful gargantuans in the game, I was actually glad that it was starting to get more difficult on this challenge, as it makes things more interesting and forces me to strategize more than I have been for most of the early game, plus it actually makes this challenge feel like a challenge. So far the game hadn't knocked me all the way down to needing everything, including Primal Sunflower, excepting Dark Ages of course, but there had now been points where it had gotten close on these other worlds, and I was looking forward to the final act. Anyways, all that being said, ironically we started first trying most of these remaining latter days, mainly because I lifted the ban on Blast Spinner and Snake Lily again, allowing me to make sure our enemies were being thoroughly shelled, and even then it was still getting close at points. Thus, I took that as a message from the Divines that I was making the right decision adding them when I did. I don't experience my next loss until day 30 with no specific reason, being that it was just a lot of high threat zombies including Gargantuars at the end, which I broke the Blastu Spinner pact again in order to use it at the very end, just because I didn't feel like replaying the whole mission a 3rd time, and it was a very, very close clutch. Anyways, day 31 being pre-picked plans, and day 32 being to give Dr. Zombosker constructive criticism on his AI-generated music, and just like that, we're done with Neon Mixtape. And finally, after all this time, we make it to the Primal Plant's homeworld of Jurassic Marsh, or at least 4 of them, seeing as how I extended the definition of Primal Plants for entertainment purposes. But since I had used every Primal Plant excepting Primal Potato Mine for this challenge now, I made the clever decision that I was going to do my best to use only the 4 Primal Plants for all of Jurassic Marsh to excuse how obnoxiously powerful Primal Potato Mine is. And because of that, I'll even avoid using that in the early stages of Jurassic Marsh, and start busting it out for when I absolutely need it, because it cannot be overemphasized just how powerful the Primal Potato Mine is. So the first half or so of Jurassic Marsh days are pretty much nothing but me planting Primal Pea Shooters and occasionally Primal Walnuts, which, since Jurassic Marsh is literally made for you to use Primal Plants, it's more so just me playing with a heavy constraint on where I am planting, but giving away a few lawnmowers, and it isn't the end of the world or anything like that. Even more so, since this world's conveyor belt missions have Primal Plants in them, I can actually give a few of them a try just to see if they are doable in the event that they have other plants in them. Day 7 is doable, for instance, but I question if the others will be as well. Moving on to the main gimmick of Jurassic Marsh being that of the dinosaurs, all of which are just movement modifiers to the zombies, with raptors kicking zombies a few spaces forward, stegosaurus slapping them forward into random lanes, pteranodons dropping them on the other side of the lane in the other direction, and later on T-Rex's movement buffing them and Ankylosaurus smacking them across the entire map into the nearest plant. With all of these movement modifier dinosaurs, you quickly realize why primal plants are useful here, as they are ideal for kicking zombies back after the dinosaurs kick them forward. Fortunately, it takes very little for a primal P to group up and stun lock a zombie entirely. As for the threat level of the dinosaurs, all three of them are decent annoyances, with my primal P being able to push each of them back from wherever the dinosaur drops them, but pteranodons being both slightly worse due to being the only dinosaur that always drops them right on one of my plants, but also sometimes helpful as it also renders that zombie as useless after the fact. It's not enough to say that I would prefer having them, but when they screw over a stronger zombie, it's definitely at least somewhat enticing. We continue fighting through the dinosauric nonsense of the Jurassic Marsh, predictably first trying a lot of the days, even if it means losing all of our lawnmowers for some of them. There are some days like day 14 with pre-picked plants that aren't doable due to the simple fact that it can't be bothered to give me primal sunflower, and instead sicks me with the sus shroom. However, since those days don't count anyways, nothing is really jeopardized yet, and as we continue to move on, I mentioned this in the previous episodes, but the best part about the general primal plants is just how much stopping and pushing power they have, making them overwhelming counters to gargantuan nonsense. A single primal walnut can tank 3 whole hits from a gargantuan, and you can indefinitely stall one of them with as little as 2 primal pea shooters. And after ultimate battle, I now decide that we are far enough into the world to bust out the primal potato mine, a plant capable of destroying an entire wave in a single attack. Mainly capitalize on its plant food effect to instantly fully grow it and launch 2 more mines into the crowd. Its charge up time is already fast, but does take enough seconds for a zombie to eat it if you plant it right on top of them. All in all, it's an amazingly powerful plant, and any tier list that doesn't have this thing somewhere in S tier is objectively wrong. Thus, even though we waited until we were halfway done, I'm still going to try and use it sparingly, and right now I'm more so just using it as a show of disrespect, styling on the zombies with it in the last wave. A real spit-in-the-face war crimes type of behavior. Day 19, we get a rare treat where I am enticed to use the overpowered plant Cold Snapdragon as a primal plant to defeat a conveyor belt mission. We win the day effortlessly because it's Cold Snapdragon. Moving on.
Tickle no more, you dragon snappers.
Day 20 is a produced sun mission, and it forces Primal Sunflower on me too, so naturally this day was a complete and utter stomp. And we continue on just setting up more potato mine thermonuclear bomb setups, but as we continue to get into the later and latter days, I start getting more and more concerned as I'm starting to still struggle, even with consistently using Primal Potato Mine. Once again, this is a good display that this has actually become a challenge, which I enjoy, but it's also a good reminder to not start cheering too soon. Somewhere along this time, we are also introduced to the Jurassic Bully, who is supposed to be a counter to the Primal Pea Shooter, as unlike the other zombies, it can't be knocked back by its shot. I'm not certain if other zombies of this type, like the Nerd, also share the knockback resistance, but I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't paying attention. We will find out with the Octopus zombies and All-Stars in the final act. If I don't forget. Anyways, after these final several days of Jurassic Marsh, it's always accompanied by Ankylosaurus being in a special pain in the ass in regards to the zombies smacking them all the way across the arena. Fortunately, unlike a lot of the other playthroughs, I can still block them with a Primal Walnut, but that also only goes so far. We were still barely surviving days with me able to get past most of these days by the 3rd try after I get my strategy ironed out. And then we get to the final big challenge of Jurassic Marsh, being day 30 with Gargantuars, Bullies, Raptors, and Rexes. I thought this might have been the day to force me to use Primal Sunflower, and I'm gonna be perfectly honest, it was pretty close, I'm not gonna lie, with me having taken 5 whole tries on it before getting it on the 5th try. This one I had to go entirely gloves off with the Primal Potato Mine usage, using it as soon as I got it to charge to tactically put it in spots where I can detonate it as well as plant food it as soon as I had the chance, trying my hardest to push me to the final or second to final wave as fast as I could to let the lawnmowers defeat the remaining zombies doing most of the work. After a bit of honing on my strategy, and even a bit of luck, we did finally get a winning run with this, with me hurling bombs all over the place like a carpet bombing. If I had to give a reason for why this was so difficult, it's more or less just because there was a lot to deal with. Like, there's a whole horde of Jurassic bullies, and you combine that with gargantuars, I either need to forever stunlock or just let a mower deal with them, because using 3 primal potato mines on a single gargantuar when I need to be using them for everyone else just isn't happening. But after that, we have day 31 being a pre-picked plants day with Cold Snapdragon available. I'll let you guess what happened. Oh, okay, well, granted, it was kind of close. Anyways, after that, the only thing left to do is to murder Dr. Zomboss's pet and then blame someone else for it, and we were done with Jurassic Marsh, with only 2 worlds left to go, and with this challenge to be decided in the final episode. The primal plants have been going strong for most of the playthrough, and I was optimistic to see if they could hold it together for the final act. But if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, please leave me a comment down below, letting me know your thoughts as well as what you'd like to see next, both Plants vs. Zombies and otherwise. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing, as among my channels, I upload new long-form content every week, as well as new shorts every other day encapsulating variety content, including challenges, guides, memes, audience participation, playthroughs, and even theories. Also, join the Discord with the link in the description as well as the pinned comment to become part of the show. But with all that being said, thank you all again so much for watching, and big thank you to my channel and Patreon members, and I will see you all next time.